3, 4, 5 years.
So where do you see Mr. Softee China? Where do you see your company being in the next 3 years, 5 years down the road?
Okay, well, so up until now, everything we've done has been company owned.
Hmm.
We've built our own trucks, we've run our own stores, and we'll continue to do that in neighboring cities of Suzhou, which is eastern China. We'll do that in cities like Shanghai and other smaller but still relatively developed and wealthy cities of like Wuxi, Ningbo, Nanjing, Hangzhou. And then in further areas, because the size of China is equal to the size of the United States. So really for us to run the entire country by ourselves would be a very difficult job. So a more attractive option to us is the franchising business, which is what we are in the United States. And so we're looking to develop partners in different regions of China who can act as our franchising agents in those cities. So I really see our company growing through franchising over the next 1 to 5 years, I guess. And with which the eventual goal, I think, we don't, it's hard to predict 10, 20 years into the future. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't really mean too much. But I think the way we've done it so far and the way it works is we predict about 3 or 4 years into the future. And then when we get to that point, we look around and decide what's going to come next. And so I think if I can predict like 3 to 5 years into the future, I would like to have 150 to 200 trucks, 5 or 6 regional partners spread throughout China, and a really solid base and a good solid franchising system, and something that we can still continue to build on. As the country grows, we can grow with it.
All right, great. Could you give any advice to young entrepreneurs, and maybe specifically anybody looking to either take their company over to China or start a company in China? Any advice for folks out there who are looking to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of times it's changing a little bit, but another major mistake I see is American companies will, even if they want to set up a factory here that exports to the United States, or if they want to set up a company here that's going to do similar to what we do retail or sales within this market. Either way, a really big mistake I see is they'll say for example, it's a brakes company in some company that it makes car brakes in Michigan. They'll come to a meeting and they'll say, okay, which one of you guys wants to go to China? And it's a bunch of like 45, I mean, this really happens. It's a bunch of 45-year-old guys who are from, Lansing, Michigan, and they've been there their whole lives, and they have their wife and their kids, and nobody wants to go to China.
Yeah.
And so they say, okay, we'll pay you double your salary if you just go to China for 2 years. And so one guy says, okay, I'll do it. And he comes over here, and then he lives here for 2 years, comes kicking and screaming the whole way, lives here for 2 years, absolutely hates it, learns none of the language, doesn't understand any of the culture, and then gets out of here. And for some reason, he's in charge of this company for 2 years. And a lot of times the companies don't do well at all because they have a guy in charge who knows nothing about the country, nothing about the culture, nothing about the language, and doesn't want to be here. And to me, I mean, the number one piece of advice I would say is find someone who's already living here. It can be a Chinese person. It can be a Chinese person who's Western educated. It can also be an American person who, like myself, has been living here a few years. And there's plenty of people like me who are here, who are studying the language or working in companies, who have college degrees, a lot of people MBAs, who are really qualified to do these jobs. And it's just, I think the American thinking still is that only the people like myself don't live in China.
Yeah.
And it's not too hard to find us. And I really think that if you can put one of these people in charge of your company, it's somebody who wants to be here, and it's here by choice, you're just going to start out with such a head start. Also, people who already live here already have these contacts. And that's a huge part of living here is having, I mean, of working here, is knowing the people who can help you get things done within the local community or the city. So I think if you can look to these people to help you start your company, as opposed to forcing someone who doesn't want to be here over here, you just have a much higher potential of succeeding.
All right, so blending with the culture is very important when starting a company in China.
It is very important, and to go back to the example I was giving earlier, if you're a Chinese company and you want to start a factory in the U.S., you don't take a Chinese person who can't speak any English and throw them in the middle of Michigan. You take you get even if you want a Chinese person, you take a Chinese person who went to school in the United States and it still happens to be living there, and you hire them. So
All right,
that's kind of
some great
my
insights
rant.
from our young entrepreneur Turner Sparks in China. Anything else you would like to add about Mr. Softee in China, or starting a business in China, or anything in general? Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, if like going back to, so I guess I talked a little bit about, I was just talking about if you're, moving a factory here, if you're starting your own business here, um, it's a great place for young people to come because the the culture lends itself at this point in time, at this point in history, I guess, the business culture in China lends itself to young people. Because of recent history, the even the Chinese people who are starting all their own companies and running all their own companies are oldest, I would say, late 30s, early 40s. Like 40 years old is almost the cutoff. So when I'm 26, but when I go into meetings around the city and around the country, I'm never really feel intimidated because I'm not going into a meeting as I would in the United States with a bunch of 60, 65-year-old men who've been running their companies for 25, 30 years. I'm going in meetings with people similar to my own age who've started companies within the past 5 years. And so since we're all in the same boat, everyone's really understanding of other people's situations and willing to help out. And also, it's easier to get credibility, I guess. And so it's just a really good place for young people to come and I think young American people, young European people, to come and start doing business.
That sounds good. Well, thank you for your time today, Turner, and I guess we'll check
Thank you.
back with you in a couple months and see how Mr. Softy has progressed on their plan.
Great, anytime, I'd love it.
All right, thanks a lot, Turner.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.